Hello, welcome back to Thursdays on YouTube with me. Today I'm going to bring you something that I thought we could talk about. And that today is book writing. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a book that I created. It took me 2 years to write. It's called The Haunting of Vultures Peak Lighthouse. This book I wrote about 2 years ago. It's my first book, and I decided to discuss it with you today. So, I wrote a book for many reasons. One of them is because I wanted to see if I had a good imagination. What that means is I wanted to know if I had a good imagination and see if I could write a good story. Like they say, they say you never know what you can do unless you try it. So, now 2 years ago I created this book, and it wound up being a great success. I self-published it. All friends and family have a copy of the book, and it's about a girl who goes on vacation with her family to a nice seafaring town, looking over the ocean, and she winds up going and getting stuck in a haunted lighthouse. And she gets trapped there and winds up going on an adventure with some friends and figuring out a 100-year-old mystery almost, or at least an 80-year-old mystery. It's not a mystery book, but it's a good ghost story because I'm interested in ghost stories, and I've always wanted to create a book. Why did I do lighthouses? Well, lighthouses are known for multiple reasons to be haunted. Number one, they can be in areas where you don't get much medical attention. They can be surrounded on an island. And sometimes it's hard. It can be hard working on a lighthouse. And I thought, well, there's barely any books on haunted lighthouses. So I wrote a story on a haunted lighthouse. And I'm going to show you what inspired me. Well, a few years ago I was watching these shows called Haunted History. Shows that you'll see on Discovery Channel, Discovery Plus maybe now, History Channel, depending on what you're looking at. And they had one about Maine. And they talked about the lighthouse on Maine. In Maine, that was called Sequin Lighthouse. And the story involved an island basically in the middle, right off the coast of Maine, basically surrounded by a nasty stretch of water, an ocean. And the story was about a woman who went with her new husband to man this lighthouse. But sometimes people who apparently aren't used to seclusion went a little mad and crazy. So what does the man do? He buys her a piano. And apparently the piano he orders comes with one sheet music. Now this woman could play music only as long as she had sheet music with her. It only came with one. Some say it's Moonlight Serenata, some say it's something from Beethoven, whatever you want to call it. Story varies from time to time. When you're the only two out there, you get crazy. He asked her multiple times to stop playing. Do something else that gets you, that doesn't take up your time and doesn't bore you as much. Do something else because there's multiple things to do. Take a walk around the island, look at the ocean, garden perhaps. She didn't want that. She played and played and played and played and played until one day the lighthouse keeper got so mad that he actually physically killed this woman and smashed the piano and then killed himself. And then there's stories about lighthouses, the story about seeing a woman playing a piano, hearing piano music, seeing her walk around the grounds, and seeing a lighthouse keeper washing the tower lamp, all that stuff, I thought, not a lot of stories are out there on haunted lighthouses. So I thought I'd make a haunted lighthouse story. So it took me 2 years to write, and I'm finally happy that I've made a book. And I'm writing the next book. That one's about vampires. I'll show you. I'll do a video on that whenever I can get the story down and get it published out there. I've self-published, so it's not. This book isn't really in the world so much. You can't find it online. You can't find it in your local bookstore. Apparently, it's just a book that I wrote with friends and family. Most of them have it. I am working on trying to get this nationally published. You can see. So I'm going to speak to you today on book writing. So what inspires me is stories. I was inspired by the lighthouse story that I just told you about. And I decided I was going to pretty much make a story. I'm trying to bring scary back. Today, people are used to scariness. They can live with the paranormal. They can tour the paranormal. It doesn't scare them as it used to do. So, what I'm planning on doing is bringing scary back. I want these books to scare people directly. So, what inspires me? Stories, old-fashioned history, like when we think of vampires, we think of old 19th century, 18th century looks, Western movies, music. Music's another one. What you want to do is, I think my mind thinks very differently. So, I take music and I take visionary and visual situations and I create a story out of it. And I create plots. So what you want to do is, if you want to think like me, you got to think of what inspires you to write. Choose a genre and write your themes down, write your thoughts down. Come up with a plot. Come up with characters. Do small picture writing if you want, which I learned is the character talks through you and tells the story. And doesn't explains, the general theory of what's going on. With big picture, that's basically you having a relationship with these characters that you've created, so you're telling their story. That's big picture writing, but that's describing and exploring options. Next, once you have that idea down, you do big picture writing, which is explaining what you want. Remember, think of music, think of visions that you want. Visualize what you see. If you're interested in medieval stories, medieval fantasies, try looking at movies. Try looking at forests, woods, rivers, whatever you want. Visualize what you want. Say, for instance, you want to write about a werewolf in a camping retreat. Go to a campground and find what you think looks good. Think of the surroundings. If you want it to make sense in fall, go camping in fall when the leaves are changing, when the air is chilly, and think, is this a good area for a werewolf story? Whatever inspires you. Next, you create your characters. Make the main character, make the characters friends. They can be 2 main characters, 3 main characters, or whatever, of your choice. But if you've ever wanted to write a book, it's very possible. It's going to be hard work. It's, hard work to write a book. But it's possible. So visualize your thoughts when you're taking a walk, when you're going places. Be visual. If you're into weddings, look at a restaurant or a wedding venue or movies. whatever inspires you, write. So this video is all about what inspires you to write. What inspired me to write was is I'm into the paranormal. I like to read stories on ghosts. You know, and I've had experience in ghost hunting a little bit. I don't do it very often, but it's very important that if you think you can't write a book, you can. All you got to do is think about what you want, do it. That's about it. So, by all means, it's very easy. Just come up with a plot, come up with a storyline, and write a book that family, friends, or the public can enjoy. Self-publishing is fairly easy. You have to, it's easier, but you don't need to go through a manager, you don't have to go through an agent, you don't have to do all these editor stuff. But the only hard thing about it is you got to be the one to sell it, and you got to be the one to make the money happen. Where if you publish it through a publisher, you'll make money, but they'll get the publisher people, the agents, and the publishing company will get half of what you make off of it. But again, I wanted to show you the book that I created 2 years ago. It's my first book, and I'm on my way to writing the second book on vampires. So, like I said, do what inspires you, and by all means, like on this video, comment on the video if you like. If you have any questions on how to write books or what inspired you, you can always leave a comment below, and of course, I'll see if I can answer. But again, I'm going to be bringing you more videos in the future on book writing, and I'll share ghost stories with you. I'll share step-by-step ways of how to come up with an idea. But I just thought I'd make this quick video. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please, like I said, if you're ever interested in book writing, you have an imagination, so it's very easy, and this book's a pretty good book. So talk to you soon in the next video. Bye.